Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Burnett, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build a Linux Apache server on Oz. Everything in this tutorial is actually going to be free, so if you don't have an Amazon Web Services account, you can go ahead and create one. And they will ask you for a credit card to confirm your identity, and also if you go over on resources, it will charge your card. However, that is a pretty extreme case unless you're going to be using an enormous amount of CPU usage, like mining bitcoins or something like that, or you have like extremely heavy traffic, which is not going to be likely. So we need to go ahead and sign in here. Go into EC2, and what we're going to do is go ahead and launch an instance. I like to use Ubuntu Server 18, which is Bionic Beaver. It's pretty clean out of the box and easy to scale. So this, I'm sure you guys have heard of LAMP stack before. So basically Linux is the first part of that, and then the Apache is the next part, and that's what we're going to be installing a little bit later on. So we'll go ahead and select this, and everything that says free tier eligible here is completely free, so that's what we're going to be using. Basically it has one virtual CPU, 1 gig of memory. It's pretty much the only thing that I typically look at. It says the network performance is low to moderate, which, for the most case, most of these are pretty moderate anyhow. I'm going to go ahead and launch. We'll create a new key pair. I'm going to call it Oz Apache2. And we will go ahead and download it into our SSH keys directory. Typically, most people just have it in SSH. I have a folder in there for my keys, and then a folder within my keys for dead keys, which is basically the keys cemetery for things that I'm no longer using. Then we'll go ahead and launch this instance. And I've been having an issue with that, so I'll just go ahead and close it here, unlaunch it here, acknowledge this here, and we'll use this guy here. We'll go ahead and launch the instance. So another important thing is to cd into our SSH directory, cd into keys, and then go ahead and change the permissions. chmod 400 is what's suggested by Oz. You can also get away with 600, just SSH might cause a few issues with that, depending on what your environment and machine is. So I just go ahead and stick with what Oz recommends in their documentation, which is this. And if you notice, I'm actually logged in as root here. If not, you would need to do sudo for super user and type in your key. And then what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and sh into our instance now that we have it launched and running. And you can actually see which launched and running there. You can also just straightly go into the EC2 interface and click on instances here, and we actually have this instance right here. And I'll go ahead and name it something similar to, I typically name it the same as my key, just because I spin out so many of these and I typically forget what key goes with what server. So this is a little thing that I do to help me remember what is paired with what. So let's go ahead and put Apache2 and see if that here. So basically we can, I'm going to go ahead and pause for a minute, but this is how you connect to your instance. So typically I go through SSH, and here again you'll see how we chmodded this, And this is what we need to do to connect to our instance. So pretty much can copy this here. Ooh, copying it all. Let me copy it. And then drop this in my terminal. And, oh, let me cd into cd and I typically have to, like I said, since I put mine in keys here, I have to add that extra directory, and I typically put in yes and permission denied. Apache2. Didn't like that. Maybe I just need to put keys here. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So now that we are inside our instance here, the next thing that I'm going to do is I actually gonna get into SuperUser just so I can root around. Typically, if you're not very familiar with Ubuntu and Linux, I wouldn't recommend doing things in root, just in case, you know, you do something that you shouldn't. For instance, early on when I was using Linux, I actually changed the mod of recursively those permissions to like everything in my bin directory. And Linux actually, like, it's pretty dependent on those permissions, and my machine never worked again. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is apt-get install Python 3, just because that's what I use, and I'll be using it a little later on in on this server, not necessarily with this, and then the pip as well, and go ahead and let that run. So let's just do 3. So we already have that. And install Apache2. Yes. Let's try that. Update. See, I like to run service status all to let me know what's actually running on here. So we see those. Okay. I don't think service start Apache2. I don't think that actually. Yeah. It's just Apache. Yes. Cool. Sometimes you have to run app update before installing something. So if you get an error, that's usually what it is. Let's see, what services. Cool. And now we see Apache2 here. So we know that we've installed it and the service is actually running. Okay, and then I also install git, apt-get, install, and git. And let's just see if that works. I'm not sure if git actually launches anyway, but we will be able to see. We'll go ahead and close that, and let's copy this. So another thing that we need to do here is look at these security groups. Go ahead and pull these up. This is the security group, and just by default they're called Launch Wizard. and you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, however many instances you use. So we want to take a look at the inbound, and we see that we have SSH. So clearly we can SSH into our machine, but we need to add some extra rules here. We need to add rules for HTTP, and we also need to add rules for HTTPS. Go ahead and add that rule, and I don't think we need anything else right now. So if you see, like, there's 2 of them, it's because one's for IP version 4 and one's for 6, so that's why you'll see that. And if you actually didn't have that set up, you wouldn't be able to hit the IP of the server and see anything. So we'll go back into our instances here and select this guy and copy this, and this should work. Let's take a look here. And yes, so this is our Apache server on Ubuntu. And if you read this information here, it'll definitely tell you like some default configurations, etc. I happen to know offhand that we can cd into var and www HTML, and that's where actually the root for the World Wide Web is stored in here. And if we do a ls, this is actually a nano, this is actually the index page that we are looking at right now. See, so you can start to see the CSS. See if we can, yeah, here we go. So Apache2 Ubuntu, you'll see that as in the body here, which is this, and the Ubuntu logo. So you clearly know, like, you have Apache up and running. And so what I wanted to do today was I had my portfolio stored on HostGator, and you know, with using Awe so much, it's like, honestly, like, I really don't need to pay someone for storage. So I'm trying to basically take that down and build it on Oz instead, and then go ahead and cancel my HostGator hosting, because it's really not necessary for me. So what I did was transfer this here. Well, I think this should work. And actually, I didn't like run it locally to see like if this was gonna work. So so it's definitely, we're gonna be crossing some fingers here. So let's do. And I know I'm gonna have to copy over these. Already see that right now. So we'll go ahead and do git clone. And let's see. Yeah, so everything got smushed into there. So we'll do copy, just tech, everything, and then we'll copy that into here.